it, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy, buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On the Rocks on Air, and on Facebook, On the Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email, book me for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care, I'll show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your comments, your guest questions, and your guest requests. The show's presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 350 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com for free. You can also watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Hello, East Coast. We proudly tape at UBN Go Studios, your one-stop place for all forms of podcasting. All right, let's get the show on the road because we have a legend in the studio today. I am so excited listening to her music with my mom as a kid. And I can't believe she's actually here in Los Angeles. So we snagged her up real fast. Yvonne Elliman, American singer, songwriter, actress who performed for 4 years on the first cast of the stage musical Jesus Christ Superstar. She had her first Billboard Hot 100 hit single in 1971 with the ballad I Don't Know How to Love Him. And she scored a number of hits in the 70s and achieved a U.S. #1 hit with If I Can't Have You. She's collaborated with the Bee Gees, toured with Eric Clapton, and she has continued performing at music festivals, benefits, and concerts throughout the country and around the world. Currently, she and Jesus Christ Superstar film lead Ted Neely are touring parts of the U.S. with concerts and special screenings. Please welcome Yvonne.
First of all, thank you, Alexander. Let's get my name straight. It's Elliman, like L-M-N-O-P.
Element.
Elliman.
Yeah, didn't I say that?
Elliman? I thought you said Edelman.
Oh.
That's okay.
It's the vodka. It's kicking already. That's how we do it at On the Rocks. So we're going to get right down to it because you have to go sign autographs for hours and hours.
Yeah.
So we're going to get you pumped before you do that.
Thank
You hail from Hawaii. You have Japanese and Irish descent.
No.
No.
No, not Irish.
We're just setting the record straight, left and right here.
No, I'm half Japanese, half... Well, I don't know because my dad was left in a shoebox on someone's doorstep as a preemie, just fresh born out of the womb, and he was left on a doorstep, and I didn't find out until I was 60. So for all this time, I thought my grandma was from France, and that she had a ticket on the Titanic to come over, but her neighborhood gave them all a going away party, and so they decided to sell their tickets.
Oh my God.
And so I thought all these years, I wouldn't be here if my grandma had gotten on the Titanic.
Yeah.
But then I found out at 60, that's not my grandma.
Oh. That's a movie in itself. Where's that movie? You better call Andrew Lloyd Webber and say, we've got another musical in us.
So, I mean, I had a 23andMe done, and apparently I'm just Northern European, a little bit of Polish, a little bit of Norwegian, a little bit of Irish. There's a little Irish in there is.
There is a little Irish. Okay. What are you talking about? Of course there is. But you got into music so early, at a very early age. You just picked up all these instruments. Was music in the family, or how did the musical bug bite you?
No, my dad was he was a lefty, right? He was the one that was left on the doorstep, and his mom who found him on the doorstep. She adopted him. But they didn't like lefties because they didn't believe in that. I don't know why. There's some kind of weird superstition that went along with it. But they tied his hand behind his back and they whacked it with a stick.
That's what they did to my mom because she was left-handed. I'm left-handed.
I am too.
Yeah, but
oh my
it was considered bad
gosh.
luck. But now we know that we're geniuses.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the scientific that's come from it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Oprah Winfrey, I think she sent a doctor out into the world. And when he came back, because she wanted him to go and investigate, and he came back and said that lefties are more intelligent, basically because we have to adapt to situations. Yep. We have to think on our feet, Exactly. And so here we are, two geniuses. Right. So anyway, I think he always wanted to sing, but because I think he was rewired weird. Yeah. He vicariously sang through me. And so he was the man who was behind everything I did. He got me the piano lessons. He'd sent me to charm school. He sent me to secretarial school in case the music didn't turn out well. And he was the manager of my first band in Hawaii, and I had a folk band. And through that band, my teacher, who was from England, he taught band orchestra and world history. He took a tape of mine back to England at Easter vacation time, and they he played it for an agent named Morris King, and Morris said, "Bring her back here after she graduates, and we'll make her a star." And so he took me the day after I graduated, and I was a very bad student. I was an F student, but he got all my teachers together. He said, "You have to pass her. You've got to get her D's because she's going to be here and just wasted," And so as soon as I graduated, 2 weeks later, I was on my way to England, and that's where I got discovered.
Well, and I did hear that you had some school issues, but they decided to let you go. But what is a kid doing running around London? I mean, you were so young.
Well, thank goodness I had a family that was that it was a financier. He backed me. He gave me £5 a week spending money. But I didn't have anywhere to sing, so I'd take a bearskin rug and I'd go down to Piccadilly Circus, put it down, and I would just play because I had my guitar with me, and I played, and I sang. And then some guy came up to me. He said, "Oi, where's your hat? Put out the hat. You can make some money." And so put out the hat, and all the shillings were flying into this hat. We had enough to go buy our weed for the night, and.
Priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I had a great time doing that. But somebody, eventually somebody saw me at Iso's restaurant, and she said, "Bring me over here. I think that lady's very interesting." I walked over to her, and I guess I walked kind of funny because in Hawaii you don't wear a lot of shoes, right, honey? Yeah, I don't wear a lot of shoes. And she said, "Why do you walk like a duck?" So I've got to do something to change that. So she had a lady come over and put me in jersey silks. Bought me some good shoes, and I was walking down in Soho with my bare feet, and this old geezer comes up to me. He says, "Oi, put on some shoes down, and you get syphilis." So that scared it scared the heck out of me, and so I started wearing shoes. But that's why I walked funny. So anyway, she got me into a club where I was finally discovered. But it was about 6-7 months I was there just tooling around.
I mean, that's so dangerous, like in my mind, and culture shock on top of that.
Absolutely.
Not just a different state, but a different country.
I was so homesick. My goodness, the first song I wrote was called Hawaii, and it's a beautiful song, but I was totally heartfelt, and I was very homesick because it was winter. I was not used to this. And I missed my boyfriend, and I missed my mom and dad. My dad said to go, and he said, "You go," and my mom was like, "Please stay with me. I'm an only child, Yeah. I'm so glad my dad said go. I wanted to go where the Beatles were, and I did eventually get to meet them, but that's another story. I got to play with George Harrison all night.
Get out!
Yeah, at Eric Clapton's house. Yeah, we were the last ones in this music room, and we were singing some sort of Indian mantra, and the sun rose, and
that's amazing.
I can carry on with that story later if you want to ask me about it, but it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Well, and like the Eric Clapton years, because Bob Dylan said,
"I'm talking fast because you talk fast. I don't usually talk this fast." I'm trying to keep up with you here.
But you were involved in the club and the bar scene in London, and we know it's kind of disco era, but your love was really rock.
I loved, my idols were Clapton, Cream, Led Zeppelin, Santana. It was that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. It was along those lines. And so when I was playing at the Pheasantry Club, which is a kind of a has-been actors club. That's what I was told later on. I didn't think it at the time, but there was a guy named John Hendricks who was supposed to be heading, Hendricks, Lambert, and Ross. It was a jazz band. He didn't show up, and so the owner came to me and said, "Yvonne, you got to do everything you know," because I just came in between, like 10-minute sets. Yeah. And so I did everything I knew, from Where Have All the Flowers Gone to Can't Find My Way Home, and For What It's Worth, and I just did everything I knew, and I was so happy with that. I was so happy to be able to sing for an extended period of time and have people really like me. And then Andrew came running up to me. He looked like Beethoven. He was like hair all springing out everywhere.
He never did learn how to brush his hair.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And he said, "You're my Mary Magdalene," like that. And I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Well, I got this thing called Jesus Christ Superstar. Talked as quickly as you did." And he said, but when he said record an album, my ears just perked up because that was my goal at the time, and that was to see my. Do you know that's so weird? You look at a vinyl record and you see the little squiggly lines, and that represents your voice. Yeah. And I just wondered, how did they do that? Do you know to this day? Isn't it? I mean, we really don't know. I don't know how radio waves go through the air and get to our radio. You don't know? Aren't you curious?
I don't want to ruin the science of it. I just want to be
me too.
Mystified. But it is amazing. And it's around forever.
Yes.
You're immortalized.
What do you mean?
Like that record will be around.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about the radio waves going through the air and reaching your house.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like, that's amazing. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to see. That's the goal at the time, to see those little squiggly lines represent my voice. So as soon as I heard, I'm going to slow down, okay? As soon as I heard you're going to record an album, I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So he invited me to his home. He sat down at his grand piano and he said, I want you to do this song. And he played I Don't Know How to Love Him. And I thought, well, that's beautiful, but why would a mom be singing that to her son? And he said, that's not the mother, that's the whore. I went, what? And then he explained to me who Mary Magdalene was. And that was very interesting. It was more colorful. I grew up Buddhist, Christian, but not practicing. Right. And so all I knew was the nativity scene. And so that's the only Mary I knew, And so when I heard that this was Mary Magdalene, I started to read up on her. And I thought, geez, how do you sing that? But when I went to the studio, they said, just sing it how you feel it. And so I closed my eyes and I sang how I always sing, which is with feeling, because you
pathos. Your voice has so much pathos.
I heard it was the plaintive cry.
Yeah. No, all this emotion. I remember the first time my mom played one of your records, it was just this emotion. And I was a little kid, and you just have this quality to your voice that sets you so far apart.
I always ask people, what is it? Because I don't know. I can't really figure it out.
It's this timbre and it's this sorrow, but it's.
Oh, does it sound? It sounds sad and pleading.
I mean, as it should,
Yeah.
But
thank you.
Yeah, so effective. I mean, I listen to you all the time.
Did you sing along with me?
Yeah, of course I
really?
did. And then your new song with Ted Neely.
Oh.
Yep. Up Where We Belong.
Oh, Up Where We Belong.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Well, that's hard to do. Jennifer Warnes, and Joe Cocker.
Yeah,
hard to do, but we try. We try. I mean, I don't believe in doing a song unless you can do it better.
Right.
So, but at the show we're doing in Boston, we're doing songs I've never done before, but they're giving me this. Frank Munoz, by the way, is the man that's putting all this together, and he said, we're going to do I Can't Explain. I never did that on stage. We're going to do Savannah. What? And so I was told, get it ready, and I did, and it's the best feeling to do songs that I recorded, but I've never done, and they turned out great. It's going to be a great show, by the way. I'm so dry. Can I have a little drink?
Yeah, of course.
Just regular. I mean, you gave me a very strong one, by the way.
I did? I made it very weak. I don't know. And there's some water there.
What is this here? Oh, that's the other water.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But let's go back to meeting Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this guy says he has an album called Jesus Christ Superstar. What was your thought? Because that sounds ridiculous.
Strange.
Right?
It did. As soon as I heard Jesus Christ, I went, ooh. Yeah. Because I wasn't sure. But just because of the whole recording factor, that's why I wanted to do it. And when I heard the song, then it was like, wow, that's very pretty. And then so I did it one take, boom.
I heard you did it in
one take. And I sang it, and they looked at each other. They said, how was that for you? That was great. Great. Okay, that's it. And so then I did Everything's All Right, and that was another thing. And Made by the Fire. Yeah, I think that was another day. But so I did this recording, and I didn't think anything more about it, really. I had my goal was finished. I would see that eventually on a record. And then I was called into their office, and I was asked to, this is a funny thing. The guy that said for me to go over, bring her over when she graduates, his name was Morris King. And, nice Jewish man. When he spoke, the peanuts flew out of his mouth. Spit all over the place, And so he said, when I got there, he said, we're going to have to change your name, darling, because it's a little too ethnic. He thought Elliman was too ethnic. And this is Morris King talking to me, you know what I mean? And so they changed it to Kim Shane. Kim Shane being the Asian side, right? Because kimchi, right? Kim, and then the Shane part because Alan Ladd did a movie called Shane, and that's the Howley Caucasian side. And so I was Kim Shane for a little while, and so I dressed in fringe and way too heavy eye makeup, and I didn't like it. Yeah. It didn't fit me. But I always thought Yvonne Elliman was not a very stage name. I thought. It didn't sound like all the other names that I'd heard, but apparently it's okay. It's okay to stay with your name, right? Even Engelbert Humperdinck stayed with his name. Jeepers. Yeah.
So this record of Jesus Christ Superstar comes out, and then it takes years of your life. Like, you are involved in this musical for years and years.
Yes. Well, not years. months, actually, because I was told Robert Stigwood called me into his office, this great grand place, a huge seat. I mean, the ceiling was so tall and lots of, I thought of Gone with the Wind immediately because of all the curtains, And anyway, he said, we're going to have this rose show. We would like you to do it, and we're paying you this much. And it was a huge amount of money. Well, first of all, I was offered the royalties, and Tim Rice called me in, and Andrew was there, and they said, listen to this. Would you listen to it? And I had a manageress who was this lovely woman who discovered me at ISO. She's the one that said I looked like a duck and dressed me. And so she was there with me. And so we listened to a little bit of it. She said, darling, it's a piece of shit. Because they had 5 20-pound notes spread on the table right in front of us. And they said, you can have this, or you can have 0.5%, which was a lot if you think about it now.
Oh, yes.
But it sounded like a little bit, 0.5%, It sounded like I was not good at math. I'm a lefty, It didn't make... So she said, it's a piece of shit, honey. Let's just take the money. I said, okay, we're going to take the money, And so we took the money and we went to the wine store. We bought a case of Matus Rosé and a bunch of steaks, and we had a party on our roof because we lived in a small little flat. And Britt Eklund came over. So she knew some high-powered people because her husband was Al Lettieri, who was Salazzo in Godfather. The guy that had the knife. Him. And so I met Marlon Brando. I met Peter Sellers. I met all these people.
That's insane.
In fact, Peter Sellers was at her party one night, and he smoked too much weed. He was lying down. And he said, "Oh my God, my heart feels really funny." And so she said, "Darling, would you go in and talk to him? You're Hawaiian, Go in and talk to him, make him feel better."
Calm him down.
Yeah. So I went and I sat there and talked to him. I go, "Peter, everything's fine, honey. Just flow with it, babe. Just kind of feel how it makes you feel." And he started to feel better. He said, that feels better, So then he left and he called her up. He said, I'd like her. I'd like to take her out on a little date, So he picked me up and took me in his Shelby Mustang 500. And I sat in this car. We went up and down Park Lane. He just sped up and down Park Lane. Vroom, vroom. I thought, wow, that's great, And so then he said, let's go up to my flat, So we went up to this place, and he put up this screen, projection screen. And he started to play Dr. Strangelove for me on it. And he stood next to the screen. He started to do the thing, all that stuff. And I said, that's kind of funny, But he had a daughter, and she was playing with her Barbie dolls, and I was much more interested in that, Being 17 years old, So I started to play with her, just talk to her, and he was going in front of the thing, and I didn't pay attention. He finally put away the screen. He said, took me home, and he told my friend, he said, she's a little too young, He kissed me on the forehead. That was it. Yeah. So anyways, she, where was I?
No, so you were talking about, going from album to it being this huge stage production that you were with, and then opening on Broadway. This little girl from Hawaii being a Broadway star overnight because you didn't have any theater experience.
Not at all. I went on the concert tour, and we did a couple of weeks, and I kind of got my teeth cut a little bit, but they said we're starting the auditions for Broadway, and I went there and I did the song. I don't know if I had much competition.
They made you audition?
I did. I don't know if I had any competition. I didn't see anybody else, but it was kind of because I sounded like the record, and that was the voice that people would recognize.
And it was a hit.
I got the job, and having never done anything that way, I was really wet behind the ears. What does that mean anyway?
I don't know. Maybe when you're newly born, you're wet behind the ears?
I don't think so.
No?
That doesn't sound
Okay.
right to me.
No? Okay.
But if anybody knows, would you call in, please, and tell us what that means? So, we did. We the show opened, and I had my own dressing room, and my parents came from Hawaii, and we fancied it up with a rug, but nobody came into my room. I felt slightly ostracized because everybody in there had been pounding the sidewalks for years, trying to get trying to get good parts. Yeah, and so I think they kind of looked at me like, how the heck? Well, they had to understand I sang the record, so but Ben Vereen took me in his room, and he read the Bible to me, and he tried to, I don't know what he was doing with that, but he befriended me, and that was very sweet. So one night I just thought, my understudy, she was a real sweet girl, but I hardly said 2 words to her. I said, I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick, so you can do the role.
Just to give her a chance.
Yeah, and so I put a big black cloak on, and I wanted to see the show anyway, what it looked like. It was phenomenal. I mean, the set design was incredible. And so when they say the role of Mary Magdalene tonight will not be played by Yvonne Elliman, and the whole audience went,
Boo.
ugh. Yeah, there was a real big ooh, and I felt bad. And although I watched the show, and she was wonderful. She did great. And after that, they treated me great. I was, I had pals all over the place, and I stayed there for 6 months. I remember going to the Phil Donahue show because they wanted to boost up the sales again. And so Phil said to me, you know how he sits on his day. How did you like playing on Broadway? I said, well, actually, it's kind of boring,
I did read about that. You say that. Can you imagine?
Well,
All of Broadway is like, excuse me?
I was a little bored. And everybody on the side is going,
Yeah.
But I was telling the truth. I was kind of bored. I mean, I wanted to play. I wanted to do some rock. I wanted to do rock, and I really wanted to sing like Grace Slick, or that was my idol. So that didn't go well. I didn't do great interviews back then. I was a little too honest. But anyway.
But you did get bored with the role because I read that interview. And then the movie comes along and you have to do the role still. So how did you reinvigorate yourself to play the role, something that you were kind of bored with, on the big screen? You're filming in Israel.
Well, that's it.
Norm
It was a
Jewison
different
is
medium.
directing.
Different medium. So it's interesting again, right? We're in a foreign country, and everything is brand new. So it was great, and I learned a lot. Just by being around the film people. I mean, it's a whole different vocabulary, and Norm Jewison, there couldn't be a better director to work with for your first time thing, because he was just so patient and gentle, and it was like my dad. He had that kind of voice, and he just sort of patted your back, and he just made it okay to be there. Not one nervous moment did I feel. But again, when that was done, I told these writers who wanted to record an album with me in England, and they were 2 writers, and they said, we want to write songs for you that you're interested in. And I said, well, I got kind of bored of doing the Mary Magdalene thing. I want to break out of that mold, So can you write songs about, just debauchery, just songs that are kind of naughty and kind of on the edge of bad, And so I gave them some examples like gluttony, and lesbianism and, just murder even, just songs that I just can't sing about, just sing about some other things. And so they wrote some great songs for me. And one of them was I Don't Know How to Love Him Blues.
I love that.
Have you heard it?
No, but
well,
like the title, yeah.
And so it was kind of bluesy, and it was I just don't want to sing I Don't Know How to Love Him no more, and they got sued. Tim and Andrew sued them. Can you do that?
Yeah, of course you can.
Oh, wow.
Andrew loves suing people.
Don't you know it?
You better not say anything. Get to see what's next.
No, he wouldn't let me do Mary Magdalene. I was offered to do the role in Italy when Ted Neely went over there, but because I have to sing it a little lower, this was 20 years. This was how long? 30 years later, and I wasn't allowed to sing. I was married to somebody who did not want me to sing for 20 years, so I wasn't singing. And so the voice drops, everything drops. Your boobs drop, your ears drop, everything drops, and the range dropped. Okay, what can I say? and so I wanted to sing it in the key of C rather than D, and no, it was a no-go. Couldn't do it. Now I think he's loosened up a little bit, but not really. He's kind of tight on that, because he said, you have to you have to segue from one thing to the next, and it's not going to sound right. Nobody's going to know, really. But he's a perfectionist. I can. What I don't know. I guess I can. What's the word? Come on. What's the word? I can. What's the word, honey? Yeah. I can relate to that, because I am too.
Well, he let Madonna drop the keys for Evita, so...
He did?
Yeah. I mean, she didn't just drop them, she dropped them to the floor. Like, don't cry for me, Argentina.
Really? Oh,
no.
yeah. I was going to go to the thing over there, the opening, but I missed it because I was on a flight from L.A. to Australia. That's where it was opening. And I was let off in Hawaii. Suddenly I woke up in my parents' living room with my mom shoving this egg salad sandwich in my face going, hey, eat. I'm going, what? And then later on I found out that I was apparently being very bad on the plane. I was trying to feel up the stewardess or something. Just playing around, I was sitting next to somebody, and we were doing coke in the bathroom, drinking, and they threw me off the plane. My God. That was really something. It's
These are rock and roll stories, girl. So, but I want to talk about that climate. You know, you had your hits, and it was the '70s. Was it drugs, sex, and rock and roll like we think of that era?
Oh yeah, Studio 54, all that stuff. Yeah. I was really born at the right time. I loved it. I don't think I would turn anything around or change anything. You know, I wasn't really that bad until I met Eric, and that's when it got to be brandy in the morning. You know, in your orange juice and that kind of thing.
And you toured with
Oh
him.
yeah. Well, I mean, I went down to Miami where he was recording after he got over the whole heroin thing, and so it was his sort of comeback album, I suppose. And so, since my husband at the time was the president of RSO Records, we were a very small company. It was just the Bee Gees, Eric, myself, and this band named Player. And so, you know, Bill was his name. Bill had to go down there and, you know, as representing the record company and everything. And so he took me along. He said, "Would you like to bring your guitar?" I said, "I'll bring both guitars." So I brought my 12-string and my 6-string, and we went into the studio and to say hi to him. And he needed some help on I Shot the Sheriff.
Right.
And so he said, "Oh, you sing, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I do, a little bit." So I went in there and put the I Shot the Sheriff on there. And he said, "Oh, that sounded great." And then there was another song he wrote that he needed a verse for. And I said, "Do you write?" I said, "Yeah, a little bit." You know. And so I had something already that I wrote for another song, and I put it in there. I never needed a run around Dizzy Hound checking out the bitches in heat. You got a lot of nerve dishing out what you serve waggling your piece of meat. So we put that in the song, Get Ready, it was called. And so he liked that, and then I sang with him on Hand Jive and a couple other things. And so I mean, can you imagine? This is one of my idols, and I got to be on his album, and I couldn't ask for anything more. So I was back in New York just feeling so good about it, listening to the tracks all the time. And he calls up and he says, "Would you like to be in my band?" I mean, think about it, honestly. Is there anybody that you loved where suddenly they called you up and asked you to be in their band? What would you do?
I'd pass out.
Exactly.
So
I was speechless.
But what was life on the road with him like?
I can't remember.
Because it was a big party.
It was.
Sounds like a good party to me.
No, it was great. It was great. I was on the stage. There were 40,000 people out there with their lighters, you know, and everybody was. I mean, you know. So I'm sharing the stage kind of. I'm sort of to the right and to the back. But there was no. I think I was the first woman to ever be in his band, his actual band. He had sung with Delaney and Bonnie, you know, but so I was the first woman in his band. That was pretty heavy, and but you know, it wasn't enough for me. I used to play tambourines against my jeans, and one night, I guess my skirt lifted up, and the drummer said, "My God, look at your leg," because there was a white stripe going up my leg, and on the other side of it was black and blue because of the tambourine hitting my leg. And so he said he went out and bought me some gun holsters. So I had this, you know, the gun holster, so I could whack it on that. But I had all these places where you put the bullets, and so I would roll up $20 bills, you know, and I'd stick them in there, you know. And when we'd sing, I'd throw them out to the audience, you know, like little Coke tutors. Yeah. And then they couldn't understand why everybody was coming to my side of the stage.
Well, we know now. So what is your view on the music industry? You know, you were in it in such an exciting time. You took time away, as we know, and then you came back with your new album. But the whole industry has changed. How, from your view, how has it changed the most?
Completely. I mean, I didn't want to leave. No. I take that back. I did. I was getting jaded. I wasn't enjoying that. You know, I tell you why. I was taken from Clapton's band. Robert Sigwood said, "You've got a couple hits that are coming up the charts. You have to go out and you've got to promote them. You've got to get your own band." And so Eric said to me, he said, "You're leaving the band. You're leaving the band." And he got very mad at me. And I said, "I don't want to." You know, I cried and all that stuff. But I did. I had to leave the band. And I got my own band together. And it was, I mean, forget it. With Eric, it was like they got their own train. When we would hook onto another train, and we had our own, you know, cars. And we traveled in eight. I mean, it was always first class because he wanted his band to be in first class with him all the time. So we went to Ibiza. I mean, we were on yachts. We went on everywhere. It was I mean, talk about learning about things really quickly. I did. I got to learn the high life incredibly well. And then suddenly I'm taken down a step or two, and I've got my own band, and we're now on tour buses. Right, where we're playing little seedy places where the guitar player had to go on the steps, you know, down the, you know, he wasn't on stage with me anymore. It was just really, it was great though because I was doing my own music. Okay, so that's fine, but I did miss did miss the other thing, the big stadiums and all that. But what was the question?
No, it was that, and leaving the industry, but your view of the industry and how it just really changed. And that road life is a tough life.
What's the industry like now? I don't really know. I mean, I can't even relate to a lot of what I hear. I don't even know who's at the Grammys. I watch it and I go, who the heck are these people? I don't know who they are. I didn't even know who Taylor Swift was until about a month ago. Really, until I started watching football. Then I knew about her.
Now we all know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you kind of develop, I've developed a love for football because of my old man. I'm married to somebody who loves football, and now, I'm right there with him, cheering. So that's how I learned about Taylor Swift. I mean, I don't know about a lot of people in the industry, and I wish I did. So the other night, something came on TV. I said, honey, we got to listen and watch this. We've got to know what's going on because it's all very interesting. It's all good. I would like to learn more about rap and hip hop. I mean, if I could just read the lyrics, and see what they're saying, then I'd really like it a lot. I got to know what I'm listening to. Lyrics are important to me. They really are. Yeah.
What was that period of time life when you returned to Hawaii and then you were like, I'm really not going to be in this industry? I mean, that must have been a hard adjustment.
Well, I was married to somebody who did not want me to sing. For 20 years, I didn't sing.
That's insane to me.
I know. Well, he was jealous.
You're like the voice of the 70s.
He was jealous. He was also a musician, and he didn't have the lucky breaks I did. And so he was, I had 2 babies from him, and I was a great cook, and so that's what made him happy, having his babies and cooking for him. So he was this like gorgeous 175-pound Adonis, right? I mean, I'm not going to marry a schlump, right? Yeah. But I cooked so well, I baked so well. I got him back. I turned him into a 300-pound guy.
Oh my God!
No, that's mean. No, that just came part and parcel. That just came with it, So yeah, we were living in this derelict house because that's all we could. It was free. Times were hard. I remember pushing my babies along, for a walk, and I'd try and see if I could find a diamond ring somewhere along a sidewalk somewhere that somebody dropped. Needed money, and we ended up in this house in Malibu, not Malibu proper, but up in the hills, and it's where there were no doors or windows. Coyotes and other animals had gone in there to spend the night, so we moved in there, and we had to put up plastic sheets for the thing, and I was really at my wit's end. I got a call from Tom Moffat, who was one of the big promoters in Hawaii. He said, Yvonne, we miss you. I want to bring you over here. Just record one song, and we'll just we'll just release it in Hawaii. So I said, yes. He said, I'll pay your airfare. I said, I'm there. So I left my husband. My daughter was already at Stanford. My son was, unfortunately, had to stay with him, which was okay. That was his dad. But they would spend the night in Oxnard, in one of those little gardener shacks, and they'd go to the club in the morning, the racquetball club, and they'd put tortillas in some foil on their engine. And by the time they got to the place, it was hot. I mean, that's I found out about it later, and that's kind of interesting, but it's not the way to live, really. So anyway, I know what I'm saying, but I got off track. So I was in Hawaii. I was going to sing the song. I didn't really like it, and I just wanted to get there. Yeah. And my parents were getting older, and they needed help. So it was perfect. I'm the only child, and so I ended up helping him. I met my husband to be, but at the time he was just a friend. And he looked at me. He said, "Wait, where's your guitar? Sing. What's the matter with you?" So I started singing with him, and we did something. We sounded good together because he can also sing. And then I started to get interested in doing gigs. So I went to Japan. I went to different places, and I started to involve myself again. And it was a great feeling. I love it. It's hard to take a lot of the time when we do these screenings and people come up to you. This woman came up to me the other night, and she cried her eyes out, put her hands on my shoulder. She said, "I can't believe I'm touching Yvonne Elliman," And she said, "You've changed my life, and I would have been nothing." And to hear that a lot is it's hard. You don't know how to live up to it. You don't know what to say. After a while, you feel like you're not responding properly because you should. And I'm very moved. But when you hear that again and again and again, it's you have to keep yourself in the moment and really think about what they're saying because that's heavy. That is extremely heavy.
But that is a lot of pressure. And so let's talk about the legacy of Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, you and Ted are selling out nights all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's fans that are coming. What is the allure of this film? What is the allure of you guys? What is it that people are responding to so much?
I asked them that. Nobody's really given me a definitive answer. They just said it's changed their lives. They have so many different answers. You know, they weren't religious. It had nothing to do with religion, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what is it then? If it's not to do with religion, it's not to do with Jesus, you know, they said it's your voice. To me, your voice is so beautiful and it just makes me feel so good. Yeah, but is that enough to change your life?
Yes.
Well, I was once asked to go to a hospital. A girl had been in a car accident, and they wanted me to come and hold her hand and be with her because she loved me. And so I went and I sat with her, and she pulled out of it, and they gave me the credit for it, and I didn't want anything to do with that because
that is a lot of pressure.
That's
an emotional.
It's almost a burden because if I could do it every time, then hey, yeah, bring it on. But that was
because you walk away with that heaviness.
Yeah, and she probably would have pulled through anyway. But who knows, you know? So I gave her some kind of will to live. But really heavy, yeah.
Well, from my mom's point of view, the music was so indicative of her life. And, you know, that period of time, the world was changing. Jesus Christ Superstar changed musical theater on Broadway in the same way that Hair did, you know, previously. But your music, you know, Saturday Night Fever, it's people remember where they were. They remember how their lives changed around that time. And your voice is a storytelling voice. And I think people are taken back to their memories. And you hear your voice and you know exactly who the singer is. You know exactly what you were doing the first time you heard it. Of course.
Oh, wow. No,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to hear that about my voice, you know, because you know when Barbara's singing, you know when Liza's singing.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
when
But
Linda's
it's that plaintive pathos that you have, but it's storytelling in your voice, too.
Oh,
And I think
wow.
that's what made I Don't Know How to Love Him so popular, because how many singers have we heard sing that over and over? Every audition you go to, it's over there. And it's always so presentational and it's so musical theater right, but it doesn't have that feeling that you brought to it. And especially in the film, for
wow.
that being your first film, and you were so sincere and approachable on the screen, like you felt like we were there.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's what people are responding
Well,
to.
Norman was really responsible for a lot of that too, because he told me how to walk. You know, when you do the scene of the shawl, and I walk up that. Yeah, he told me. He said, "Do it like this," and he did the thing, and I copied him. You know, because I didn't know how to walk like a prostitute.
Well, go in West Hollywood, you'll see. But what's it like revisiting a film? And when I saw the date, I couldn't believe 51 years. What's it like returning to the film over and over again when you think, you know, that was a long time ago?
I was. Well, you know, I'm absolutely thrilled and grateful because I'm 72. How many people get to, you know, carry on doing what they're doing at this age when it's such a young business? You know, so I'm so grateful. I get to go all over the place, and I get to meet great people that just stroke you. You know, they blow smoke all day up your butt, you know.
Are you throwing them $20?
No, but I do give them little lights to turn on so they can read their menus good, you know. I like to give. In Hawaii, we give a lot of times, you know.
Yeah.
You give stuff in return, and I am totally grateful. I love that Frank, you know, I don't know who came up with this idea. Did you, Frank? Yeah. You know, to go around. I mean, we do things like we go to someone's house for dinner. They've invited us over because they're a big fan. They invite their friends, and they show that they screen. They give us dinner, and then they show the movie. And then if anybody's got a question, they say cut or hold it, and they stop it, and they ask the question. We answer. You know, and so people don't get to do that when they just go see the movie or they're watching it in their own home. So we give them that personal thing, and you know, people call us back to come and sit in their homes, and that's really nice. That's really a lovely thing to trust us that much and want to make us happy and feed us. I mean, really. Hey, I mean, it's not bad, eh?
No, are you kidding? I'm ready to go. And joining forces again with Ted Neely, what was it like that first kind of rehearsal where you sat and jammed? You're talking about somebody you did a movie with 51 years ago. You know?
I know, yeah. And Ted, he's so easy to be around. And you know, you ask him to harmonize something with you, he's right there. His voice is great.
Yeah.
I mean, he can still do the role. He's 80 something, okay? He can still hit those
I
notes.
saw him in a production. I think it was probably maybe 20 years ago, but still, that was.
So he's inspiring.
30s.
He's inspiring. He's so good to. I mean, when the people stand in line and they wait to talk to him, it's sometimes after midnight. It can sometimes go to 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
He will answer the question that the last person in line asks him, and he will completely. Teddy doesn't talk just quick lines. He tells the whole story, and he gives everybody the same amount of. See, I get this moment that the word just kind of goes, it just leaves my brain.
Because you've been talking to so many people for so many hours, for so many days.
No, it's a senior moment.
I just want an egg salad sandwich back in Hawaii after a fun time in the air. I want to hear that song.
I'll have to write it. Yeah, I did write a song called Steady As You Go, and yeah, it's about that. It's about put the reins on. Yeah, that was good. I did that. I don't think I'd change a thing, honestly, really. But I wish I could remember more of it because I could write quite a book.
That would be a page turner.
Yes.
What do you want people to most get from your music?
Well, I did come out with my own stuff. 2004, I recorded an album called Simple Needs.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was everything. Unfortunately, they sound like a bunch of songs that are scolding you, Simple Needs, it's just, let's live more simply. We don't need all this other stuff we have, Let's just, so if you hear the song, you'll know what I mean. Steady As You Go was when I was in Eric's band, and everybody was so drunk. It was like, it got tiring, we'd have incredible. Bob Dylan, I remember sitting there in the room playing with Marcy, who was the other singer, and Bob Dylan runs in the room. First of all, a lady with one leg ran in the room, and she crawled out a window.
She ran?
Well, hopped on one leg, and then she crawled out the window.
That's another song, Hopped on One Leg. We're just pumping them out.
and he's chasing her. And so he comes in, and so instead of going out the window, he just sits down in front and goes, "You're listening to what we're doing?" And he goes, "You're good," like that. He's got this handkerchief tied on the four knots, on the four sides in knots, and he put over his head. Is that a sign? Is that a Monty Python kind of thing?
I have no clue what that is.
Maybe
he was channeling Mary Magdalene with his veil. I don't know.
When you take a handkerchief, you tie knots on four ends and you wear it anyway. So then he crawled out the window chasing her. He was into amputees at the time.
Oh.
But I mean,
Who knew that about Bob Dylan?
I know.
Things you don't know.
I know. But, the kind of life he's lived, you want to try a little bit of everything, right? So
I guess there's nothing left,
But, so why I said that is because I don't know why I said that. I just diverted you into that area. But
this is just part of the whole culture, hanging out with the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and being part of theater and movie history. This is your life.
Absolutely. And what a life. I mean, really, what a life. My husband and I, for the last 2.5 years, had to hospice my mom, who was 103.
Wow.
And she passed on, but for 2.5 years, we had to watch her. And she had dementia, and she was deaf. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I mean, that's the first time I've had to really work, and take care of her, which was a wonderful thing, too, because I got to be with her in so many ways that I never had before. And I was always told, "You're such a wonderful daughter for doing that." Well, what else are you going to do? Of course you're going to, maybe some people don't do it, but I'm an only child, and that was my responsibility. And so we're enjoying going out now. Now we can go out together, because before it was one person had to always stay home. Yeah. And now we can go out and be together. And our greatest sanity is our dog. Dogs give you great. I mean, he just brings
love,
and they bring you home each time. They, you could be just pissed off. In fact, we'd get angry at each other, we'd yell or whatever, you'd start an argument, and he would just leave the room. And he would let us know this is no good.
Yeah.
So we calm it down. Come on, you can come back. We're fine now. Yeah. So I mean, our dog. We're simple livers. We live very simply, and of course, when we come in and we do this thing, we live it up a bit. I mean, this is we get to stay in hotel rooms and use all the towels and stuff like that.
Well, one of the questions I have is, traveling all around. Are you tempted to stick around and or is Hawaii always going to be home?
Oh, I see. To move back? No. I mean, Hawaii is it. I love it. It's where my skin is. I wish it was a little bit cooler, but we have one room in the house that's air conditioned. That's my room. Although, now we're going to go to Boston now, the end of next month, and we're going to do songs that I've never done before on stage.
That's exciting.
Oh, it is. It is. I'm going to do I Can't Explain, which is what I did with Pete Townsend, Anyway, and Savannah, all kinds of songs I've never done before. And we've got a great band, terrific band, playing with us. And I get to be on stage with my cane. I mean, I did fall and I broke my back, and I've got a problem with my hip. but I get to be on stage. I'm trying to figure out wonderful things to do with my cane. You know,
Glitter,
this cane is named
ribbons.
This cane is named Virgil.
Okay.
Why? Virgil Kane is my name. So that's Virgil. Then I've got Michael Caine at home. Michael is a bit more elegant, right? And then I've got cocaine, and that's the white. That's the white one.
You could sell these canes. We're just coming up with all these business
That's
ideas.
what we'll do. That's what we'll do.
But on the East Coast, on Tuesday, March 22nd, you're going to be in Arlington at Regent Theater, and fans actually get to see a rehearsal.
Yeah, that's
so
gonna
one
be
night's the
fun.
rehearsal, and then Thursday, March 28th is the concert.
Right.
And then for Easter weekend, which is really fun, you're going March 30th to East Greenwich to the Odeum Theater for a concert, and then the next day, Easter Sunday, is actually a screening of the film.
Screening of the film. In these concerts, I get to sing, duets with Teddy.
Yeah.
We don't get to do that much, we haven't really on the screen. And he's such a wonderful singer to sing with. Our voices blend well together. So there's a lot of good things and new things to see and hear. If y'all come out and see us, we want to come out here, but we need a rich backer. We need somebody with lots of money to say, we'll pay for your way and we'll pay for your hotels and come on out. Pay for the band,
We put the word out there, so
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, Alexander, you're great.
Yvonne, what's your message to your fans?
Big mahalo for just for reinvigorating me and for giving me a lot of encouragement. I don't think I would have done it without that encouragement. Because who wants to be, the has-been whatever that's trying hard to sound like she did before, that has to drop her songs two notes. But that's what it is. It's people always say, why aren't you doing anything? And they give me this love, which you could live on it, really, and I thank them really from the bottom of my heart. Mahalo nui loa, indeed.
Well, it's love much, much deserved because, like I said, your music has brought so many feelings and experiences, so thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to know more about you.
Oh, girl, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other show.
You're very good.
Thank you. But you can get tickets at tedneely.com, and it has all your schedule there. It's a great website to take a look at, and there's little behind-the-scenes pictures.
Is that the camera right there?
Yes.
I haven't been looking. They've got this lousy profile. Hi, everybody. Great to see you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we snagged you while you were here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate
the
it.
minute I saw that you were touring, I'm like, let's see when she's in Southern California.
Thank you,
100%. Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here on The Rocks. A big thank you to our engineer and studio owner, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Please like, share, subscribe, so we can continue bringing this fabulous programming coming your way for free. And until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink,
You haven't touched
stay
the drink.
tipsy.
Can I have it?
Yeah, for the road.
Another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.